Hey guys, Beaufort Tabletop Gaming here. This is Mac and
Raul.
And today, or rather tonight, we are going to finally check out Ragnarok. We are total rookies at Ragnarok, but we did play our first game last night, so that's why we decided we wanted to talk about it.
A lot of fun. Didn't win. Mac actually pulled off victory on that one, but hey, it doesn't matter. It's still a fun game.
Pulled off the victory without striking a single blow. Let everybody kill themselves and then snuck in and took the objective. So we played a little bit of a modified game last night. We had 4 people on the board, and we just did 400 glory, just so we could play around with the mechanics, see how the dice rolled, see what it was all about using God Spark and checking out all the rules. So let's dive right in, because this is a cool book. It's a cool game, and it has one of the features that we are loving more and more these days, and that is that it is miniature neutral or agnostic, whatever you want to call it.
It's also campaign based, so as you play your game, your characters may not die at the end. You can actually gain loot from it, other equipment and items to progress your storyline, however you want to go about it.
Yeah, so cool stuff. So let's check it out. So the book is by Tim Korklewski. I probably butchered his last name, but it seems like we keep picking really cool games that have people with last names that we can't pronounce. But that's okay.
Interesting, yeah.
As long as we can say their first name, we're good to go. So Ragnarok, heavy metal combat in the Viking Age. Now, we've got a disclaimer before we start. Any of these Nordic words in the book that we say wrong, we apologize now, Tim. We are not Nordic. We're in South Carolina. We have no idea how to say that. So we're just going to wing it.
Sorry, we had good English and bad English down.
Right, and no Nordic though,
Yeah.
just good and bad English. So starting out, good-sized book. It's 208 pages, so really cool. It's got the handy-dandy in the back. You can photocopy your unit cards and your warband roster, so that you can check out, you can keep track of everything that you've acquired in your treasure haul, keep track of your glory, and of course right here, a nice list of minis that you can go to these websites and check them out to purchase some minis. And we have some minis we're going to show too, and I think we have a couple from a couple of these different companies. So very cool. So let's jump back in right in the front. We went ahead and photocopied for our game last night these cards and cut them out. Let me get that to focus there. Ooh. Or not. Anyway, we photocopied these and just filled them out for our individual guys. Most of us only had 3 people on the board. So
It was half and half. Half
well, that's
3,
true.
half 2.
That's true. So here we go. The book is really nicely laid out too, so good.
Nice and linear to follow.
Yeah, it's very easy to follow, and like any good book these days, opening up with a lot of fluff, and it breaks right into the fluff. So the world tree, not even going to try to pronounce it. Basically, if you ever read comic books, your closest association is going to be if you read Thor. So if you like Norse mythology or you played a lot of D&D, you might be familiar with some of this stuff that we're going to talk about. So you got the world tree, and basically Asgard was on top, that's where the gods dwelt, and Midgard was in the middle. That's Earth, that's where we live. And the dragon beneath the tree topples the tree. All the worlds and the realms are broken. So the Aesir, the gods, they're dead now. And pretty much the only thing that's left are the realms smashed together. So now there's like no boundaries between the realms. Everything is crossing over into everything else, and right in the middle of it is the Vikings.
So kind of like Max said before, if you saw the Thor movie or read any of the comics, Rainbow Bridge is gone. They're all the same place. They don't have to go crossing anything there. So you could be at home or outside in a forest, and next thing you see some creature that should never be anywhere near that planet on there walking around.
Right, nothing like a fire giant rolling up right in the middle of your barbecue. So I guess that'd be helpful if you couldn't get the fire started, but that's a whole nother story. So anyway, that's pretty much what's going on, and the Vikings are attempting to gather these pieces of the gods, the God Spark, in order to essentially become the new gods. And Tim, feel free to comment on this video for everything that we get wrong, because we've gotten one game in. One game.
Hey, it was fun though.
It was. Now I'm going to tell you one thing about this book that I've really loved is the artwork is just epic. I love it.
Definitely.
I love it. It's like every cool D&D adventure that you ever played in a nutshell. So the artwork is really great. The introduction's good. The world description is good. It's got good terrain rules, which is important to me because I love building terrain. So that's...
And the book actually seemed clear. We didn't have to go looking for a lot of FAQ or anything else. It felt, like Mac was saying, the pictures could draw you in to the whole game and help you buy into it.
Yeah, not only that, but like you were saying, once we found the couple of pages that we needed to reference, there wasn't a whole lot of flipping back and forth through the book. And I'm going to show you the essential page, which is, so Tim designed the Morpheus engine. Boom, right there, the Morpheus engine core rules. And it's how the game runs. It's the mechanics of the game, how everything happens within the context of the game. And it's a 2d6 system, so that's all you need. And it, at first when I was reading through it, I was kind of like, man, I'm not sure what I think about this. I'm not sure if I like it. It seems like it might be a little overly complicated. And I think the reason that I thought that was because all of a sudden I've got all of these different references that are really different from almost all the other games. It seems like all the other games is real obvious. And for me, the only thing that was obvious in this one was action points.
Right, when we first saw it, we thought maybe it's like Frostgrave. We were so used to playing other games of D20 or D10. Going back to D6 after so long, it's just different.
Although I do like a D6 game. Deep Wars, Shadow Sea, any Song of Blades and Heroes system is all D6.
Agreed.
And
I still think back to the old West End game, the Star Wars myself, for D6 and such. So.
Right, yeah. So I'm good with D6. Happiest at D10, but I'm good with any of them as long as I'm having fun. And let me tell you, we had a blast with this last night.
Definitely.
We had so much fun playing Ragnarok that the game took probably 3 times longer than it should have, because when it wasn't somebody's turn, they were busy looking on the internet trying to find models, because everybody was using my models for their war bands. So that's what it was. We had our 3D printer guy who just got his resin printer actually, and he's sitting over there buying files while we're trying to play the game. So that's the kind of fun that we had. We didn't have Viking with a lightsaber fun, but we had a lot of fun.
Not yet.
Not yet.
You can get rewards at the end of the game. You actually get god weapons if you have the right rolls on them.
Right. Yeah, Raul rolled like 3 legendary weapons at the end.
Yes.
So scenery, setup, battlefield setup, and everything. Measuring, using a regular measuring tape. You can measure at any time. A lot of games are doing that these days. And then the game rounds and phases. It's broken down into an HQ phase, an initiative phase, activation phase, and end phase. The activation phase obviously being the bulk of the game, and it's a back and forth activation.
Right, I gotta go off of what Max said a minute ago. When it comes to measuring, being able to measure before you do something can really change the game. I'm used to other games you have to kind of, let me eyeball it a little bit. Okay, let me measure it. Oh, nope, I messed up. I just lost, my action for following up on that process.
And sometimes that's not a bad thing. For anybody out there that's a really old school 40K player like I used to be, you might remember having to guess the range for your basilisk. So you became really good at knowing exactly how long a table was. Anyway, pressing on. Again, more gorgeous artwork.
Here's the big part Matt was talking about. Your table for all your rolls, just about.
Yep, this is your success table. This is how the Morpheus engine essentially works. So you have opposed values and active values. So basically what you're looking at is...
Rolling 7 is a big goal right here. That means that your opposed versus the active value are the same. Now, let's say, for example, suddenly you got more points than your opponent does for the opposed roll, and now instead of, let's say, 3 attack to their 2 defense, now you are above them by 1, so now your roll goes from a 7 to a 6. If you beat them by 2, from that 7 to a 5. We just start going, okay, 5 on a 6. Well, remember, it's 2d6 system, not just 1.
Right. So we'll give you a little example here. We're going to take a Viking, and a Viking, and we'll show you. So we're just going to do super basic right here. This guy's melee attack of 3. This guy's melee attack of 3. Those are the numbers that you'll be comparing if they're in base contact and getting ready to punch each other in the face. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the opposed value. So if this guy's attacking, right here, he's attacking him. So the opposed value is going to be 3. The active value is going to be 3. And what you'll do is you will subtract the opposed value from the active value. When you do that, 3 minus 3 is 0. So you find 0 on the success table, you need a 7 or better. Oh my gosh, we might need to record that. I actually hit. And in case you're wondering, check that out. BTG dice. Okay, so that really had nothing to do with the game, but I like my BTG dice.
Kind of support it. It's
So
local people.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So if you come to Coastal Con, I'll give you one, maybe even 2. I got 10-siders too. So, but now let's take that example a different way. Okay, let's say that this is not a Jarl, who would be your leader. Say he's a Bondi. So we're going to say that he has an MA of 2. He's still attacking, and this guy has an MA of 3. So 2 minus 3 is going to be -1. So we go over to the success table. Well, the Bondi is going to need an 8 in order to hit the Jarl.
Let's also bring up that's when they're actually trying to do opposed. Sorry, MA existence when they're fighting it out.
Yeah, this is just a melee attack.
Right, okay.
Yeah, this one's just a melee attack. So that's how that one would resolve. And as you can see, the bigger the difference in a value, the harder or easier it's going to be to hit. It also applies for damaging. Same thing when you're comparing the numbers. You'll be comparing the strength value of his weapon to his resistance value in order to see if he's going to be wounded. And I apologize, I misspoke there. When he's attacking, he's using his MA, he's using his defense. So my apologies. Let me walk through that again because I messed that up. So his MA against his defense. Now the success table is still the same, but the mistake I made there was I was comparing the wrong values. So when this guy is attacking, he's using his melee attack value, and he's using his defense value. So that's how that works. So my bad. Apologies for that one. So that's how the basic engine works for the game. And obviously, like with any game, there's going to be a whole bunch of different modifiers, climbing,
Right.
falling.
But the other thing also to piggyback off of that one right there is if you roll higher than
Right.
what your goal, like you had at 7, which Mac rolled, and let's say, boom, right there, rolled a 9.
But
beat
you
the
only
7.
needed a 7.
Right. You beat it by 2. That 2 goes to the character gaining some God Spark for one of their God abilities that you can
Right.
start the game off with.
Right, and the nice thing about the God Spark is if it's this guy that gets the extra successes, he doesn't have the God Spark. Your warband has the God Spark, so anybody can use it. So obviously got modifiers and stuff, some really cool melee attack rules, of which probably my favorite one is the Overwhelm Rule. And I want to talk about that real quick because a lot of times in miniature games you'll get, we'll pretend the Vikings are the good guys here. So we're going to get 3 of these guys, and then we'll get this dragon looking dude and a bear. Don't ask me why the dragon and the bear are hanging out. But you'll get everybody in a big old bunch like this, and you're trying to figure out, okay, who outnumbers who and who's in base contact with who. And yeah, we can figure it out. We're all gamers. We'll figure it out. But sometimes it can get into such a big cluster. We're kind of like, what the heck is going on? Who's where? And well, what I like about this system is this right here, the size. So every model has a size value, and you total up the size value. So these 3 guys as Vikings are going to have a size value of 2. So this total combat is going to be a 2, 4, 6 size value. And then whatever their size value is in. And then you just compare those 2 numbers. The larger number gets the overwhelm bonus. Just a lot easier to track, in my opinion, I really think that that's super novel. I really like that. It's really easy. We had a couple large clusters of combat last night, and it was like, bam. You could just look, count, add your shield bonus, good to go. So I really liked that.
It actually saved me quite a few times with that shield right there.
Yeah, the shields. I loved the shields. Now, of course, I didn't actually fight anyone. I just went and grabbed the objective. But I did watch everyone use their shield, and it was very nice. So let's see. Okay. And then, of course, probably the best part about it, because it is a create your clan game. This is the page. Page 47 is the sweet spot. This is where the war clan creation happens. So basically, everybody's going to have a glory cost. You start with, I know y'all can't see that, and I'm pointing at it, but so you start with 800 glory to purchase warriors and equipment, weapons, armor, and gear. So you got 800 glory points, and then you just start going to town. You got to have a minimum of 7 models. So you have to have a Jarl. Everything else is optional. And a maximum of 12. Again, that's what keeps it as a skirmish game, so that you're not having to buy 500 models. Although, if you're listening to this video, you probably already own 500 models for 100 different games. So,
or potentially could soon.
So even though it says you're only supposed to have 12 models, we all know that that doesn't mean anything to gamers. So you have your Jarl, which is your leader, your Bondi, so that's your commoner, your Huskarl. These guys are really cool. One of our guys one of our guys had him last night, and they've got a lot of nice special abilities, well worth the points. Berserkers, which are kind of self-explanatory.
Big old tank, you can take it and dish it out.
Your Skald, which I used one of these last night and really liked the Skald. And they're basically the storytellers. They keep track of everything that the war clan is going through. The poets and storytellers with hammers who will crush your face off. And then we have the war priests and basically your rogues. And I deliberately didn't tell you the names of those. I'll let Tim record a video. That's what you should do, Tim. Right. You should record a video just pronouncing all of the words so that we don't have to.
Yes, please, and forgive us when we butcher them again.
So you purchase all that stuff, then you go into your weapons, weapon descriptions, purchase your weapons for your guys.
Well, little thing right there, when you're getting your band, don't spend all your points on your characters. Save some for your weapons, or you have one guy running around with a loincloth and a stick, pretty much.
Although I have seen that picture in the group of the naked Viking who has terrifying, I think Tim said terrifying 4. So armor, which the armor is going to modify your resistance. So it's going to make it harder for them to hurt you. Again, just, really nice artwork. And apologies if everything's kind of dark. We are still figuring out the whole lighting thing. So you just have to bear with us. Godspark powers. So you get to obtain some initial Godspark powers. You get 3. If I'm not mistaken. So each war clan will start with 3 god powers.
And just like the D6 system, as you can see all these numbers, you roll 2 dice, you choose which one's the first one, which is the second one. So you can say, hey, green first, blue second, roll the dice. So green is 1, 6, so 16. Goes down to the shackles of judgment.
And that's only one option, because you can just pick your 3 god powers. That's the other option. So it's just kind of however your war clan wants to do, or however your club or gaming group wants to do it.
Because in the end, the goal is everyone have fun.
Right. And if you want it to be random, let it be random. If you want it to be what you're picking, do that. It doesn't matter. And then we get into using Godspark. And it's like Raul was saying, whenever you have to make a roll, and however much you beat it by is how many Godspark you accumulate, and you can use that Godspark. These are the god powers. And last night we just randomly generated them. And when I say randomly, I mean super randomly. So basically we went around the table and I had the initiative. So I had Balder. We went around the table. Dellinger, Forseti, and Frigg. Those were the ones that we used because all we did was go around the table for what everybody got to pick. But some really neat god powers laid out. Cool stuff that you can do to modify. The biggie from last night,
Frigg's rerolls.
Wise Queen's Foresight. because Raul ended up, I think through the course of the night, you ended up with 35 God Spark through the whole game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So everybody attacked Raul. They were re-rolling because he used Wise Queen's Foresight. So really looking forward to checking out the other God powers.
Long live the Queen.
Yeah, long live the Queen. So definitely looking forward to checking out the rest of the God powers. Again, one of the big things, miniature neutral. Man, that's just awesome. I just love it because you can really maximize your miniature collection. And then campaign play. This is where games are really hitting the sweet spot right now. Last Days Zombie Apocalypse is campaign based. You've got Frostgrave. You got Frostgrave GA.
Zone Raiders.
Zone Raiders is campaign based. Deep Wars and Shadow Sea are campaign based. And all of every game has some campaign in it, but all those games that we just mentioned, every single one of them, your guys can get better. This Is Not a Test is the new Reality's Edge by the creator of This Is Not a Test. That's going to be the same thing.
The fact that your mages or your wizard can get better
right,
in that case.
Right. Yeah. So that part is a little different. That only your leaders are getting better, whereas everyone is increasing here. Yeah. So actually, Relic Blade works that way too. Your guys can improve. Their stats don't improve, but their equipment improves, so they can use that, which is nice. So post-game campaign sequence, I was really reminded a lot that we did this, even though these weren't going to be our actual war bands, but we did it just to try it out and roll it. And these tables really reminded me a lot of the old Necromunda injury tables for after the battle, which just kind of struck a chord with me. I was like, yes! So I loved it. I loved the charts afterwards.
Well, you brought back the fact that how you like your characters could develop throughout the game, get more equipment, get stronger, and you're a little no-name.
Right, you're Bondi.
Bondi can become some great warrior towards the end.
Absolutely. Oh, and another one of the games that's campaign-based that you improve in, Free Blades. That's one we're checking out too. We'll be reviewing Free Blades here pretty soon. We've got some stuff on the way. Incidentally, DGS Games is going to be at Coastal Con. We just got the word on that last night. We dropped them a message and invited them, and they put us on their schedule. So that's awesome. They're going to be there. And
another reason to come to Coastal Con.
Absolutely. So we got some regular usable items, regular equipment, which is going to be your standard weapons. And this is all the post-game sequence. Magic items to roll for. And look at that. Man, come on. That is awesome right there.
If you're a fan of the show Vikings or anything like that?
I don't know. Homeboy's cold, though. I don't know.
If he's a berserker, he feels nothing.
He's still cold. Legendary items. This is where Raul killed us in the end. He rolled like, what'd you get, 3 legendary items? 2 or 3?
Only 2, sadly.
Only 2. Only 2. That's terrible. And then the descriptions of them. And, of course, the big conversation topic last night was, oh, you can find Mjolnir? Yes, you can. So that's pretty cool. Improving your war clans. Again, that's all that end part of it. And sorry for the dinging on my messenger, but
and on improving your war clan, even though your characters may fall in battle, you have to roll after the whole battle when the story is done to decide if they died or not. So
that death chart at the end. Recruiting new clan warriors, and this is cool. Hiring encounter models, so you can defeat a certain type of encounter model to earn the respect of one of the creatures from the Fractured Realms. If you defeat them, you can pay its glory cost to recruit it. So let's just
Viking get here could beat up the big old giant.
Right. So we got this is a Fomori giant, not exactly Viking per se, but D&D. So if the Vikings whip this dude, they can pay his glory cost. Now they can recruit him. I don't think I want this guy in my war band. He's just kind of freaky looking with his eyeball bugging out and everything. But, you know, hey, if you want him in your war band, you can.
If you don't want something big like that, you have a little bear walk on board.
Right, absolutely.
Because actually, the other thing in the game is during the middle of your missions and such, random things can walk on the board. So you could be trying to go for an objective. Next thing you know, hey, a giant walks in there. Hey, some dwarves, elves, maybe some deer run across the field.
Right, and then we can't really elaborate too much on that because we were trying to keep it real basic last night. And again, once we get all of our lighting and everything figured out, all the games we play, we're going to do some battle reports for. Show you how to set up some terrain for it, and not that you have to set up terrain like we do, but scenarios. So it's loaded with some really good scenarios. This whole section here, all scenarios. So nice chunk of scenarios, and then boom, the bestiary. Pretty much, not completely, but pretty much the rest of the book is bestiary with all kinds of cool stuff in it. From, like Raul said, your regular old-fashioned grizzly bear. Nobody really wants to fight a grizzly bear, even if you're a Viking.
Winnie the Pooh's cute and cuddly sometimes.
Right, and this is Winnie the Pooh's unsettled second cousin. So dire bears, wolves, apes, stags. I mean, if you think about it, you're talking about all of the realms have smashed together. So everything is kind of available. Any kind of fantasy thing, monster, creature, character that you can think of, man, you can use them.
It's got later on undead in there, hags, you can see right here in this one.
Best picture in the whole book. I love that artwork right there. That artwork is so cool. Creepy, but just fantastic artwork. So yeah, there you go. So that's the all of the encounters.
Yep. Valkyrie
In the
might be nice to
bestiary.
actually get, but fighting her may not be very fun.
Right, like the fire giant, all these guys, frost giants, mountain giants, trolls, just all kinds of stuff, undead. And then we get into special abilities, some really neat special abilities. I encourage you to just buy the book. I really encourage you to buy the book. It's definitely worth it. It is a good game. And honestly, the past 2 or 3 years of games that we've been playing have really all been games that have been the passion of somebody. It's not a game company. It's some guy who's going, man, this is my idea. I love this idea. 1,000,000% passion, and it shows in the books. Even if you never played Ragnarok, you want it on your game shelf because it's just that it's a good book.
Definitely.
So here's a bunch of the abilities, lots of cool stuff. They're pretty simple, and if you don't know something, you can do what I did and just ask in the Facebook group. Someone will correct you. Tim's really active in the Facebook group, so you're getting a genuine ruling if the creator of the game tells you what it is.
And honestly, within the first 2 turns, you figured out most of the mechanics for the game. It's not very complicated. It's intuitive, straightforward. Biggest issue we had at first was just going back to that table where we talked about your contested rolls right in there. And then by the end, we were just coming up with the numbers on our own, just not even having to look at the table.
Yeah, once you get used to the success table, it was much easier. Attack abilities as well, just some slightly different stuff. And acknowledgments and cool pictures. So that's
definitely
some really great artwork. It's definitely worth buying. I mean, as far as a game, for us having only played a little bit last night and having not even played a full game, it's a lot of fun. And the biggest winner for me is that miniature neutral. So I think the last thing we want to do, because we've tried to keep our stuff to around 30 minutes, so the last thing that we want to do is show you some miniatures. Just a variety of different ones. That come from different companies. Just to show you the variety that you can get just to throw stuff in. So these guys, I've shown you guys, this particular guy, he's shown up a couple times, but this particular group of Vikings right here, and I'm pretty sure one of the guys told me that Tim owns every Viking miniature on the planet, but these ones here are from Reaper. These ones too, they're not painted yet. still working on that.
Yeah, well, bone one if you don't
Yeah.
want the metal one, the plastic one.
Reaper
as well.
Bones. Love this guy. He came out good. This is my Jarl. I like him. He looks awesome. And then
Look menacing, didn't do anything, so we don't
no,
know
he
how bad
didn't.
he is.
It's
Yeah.
because everyone was scared of him. They didn't even want to mess with him. This guy is from Rum and Bones. Let me see if I can get that to focus a little bit because he's a pretty cool model. All right.
There we go.
All right. So he's from Rum and Bones, and then Raul's bear here is. That's actually the Relic Blade one,
Yeah,
right?
Relic
Yeah, so
Blade.
that one's from Relic Blade. And to say that you can go all out crazy and get whatever you want, I love this model right here. And this is from the Doom board game. You can use it in the game. So we got,
Monster.
Bear. This one is from one of the Dungeons and Dragons board games. Can't remember which one. It's just a regular old bear. See what else we got here. These ones, I really enjoyed these guys. I haven't gotten them painted yet, but they are from, man, boy, I can't even remember the name of the game. But it is from Happy Games Factory, if I'm not mistaken.
It wasn't Eve, it was
But they're cool models. I'll find out what they were, and actually you can probably find out if you go in the Facebook group, because I posted a picture of them in the Facebook group, and
we'll make a comment on the bottom there at some point.
yeah.
Not a problem.
So, and we got several more. Yeah, so that guy right
Big
there,
old
this
giant.
giant, and this freaky looking hag lady here. They're both just Dungeons and Dragons minis that some of them are repainted and rebased. Again, more Dungeons and Dragons minis. I use these guys in a bunch of different games. I use these in the Drowned Earth and Shadow Sea. So they're good for a lot of stuff. We already showed you the Fomori, which is also Dungeons and Dragons. Got some Reaper Bones, Eye Beasts. More Dungeons and Dragons, some kind of crazy beetle guy with a pitchfork. And you can even use, GW. If you want to. So my Plague Bearers, pretty much all I have left of my GW collection is the demons, just to use for other games. And you can 3D print stuff. This is a 3D printed elemental. This is one of my favorites. This guy is huge.
Attackwing.
No, he's not. He's not from Attackwing.
I thought he was. Okay.
Nope, he's just a Dungeons and Dragons model. And we got some more Reaper Bones. These guys are cool. Got classic Roper D&D monster made out of hot glue and toothpicks. And I made this guy a really long time ago. I have no idea what he's actually supposed to be. See if I can get that to focus. I'm having all kinds of focus problems tonight.
It shows if you don't want to, buy a monster, you can make one yourself.
Yeah, I mean, all this is hot glue and a model underneath it. And again, little hot glue, green slime, D&D style. And I encourage you to check out Heresy Miniatures. They got a lot of cool stuff. They got a lot of cool monsters. And they even have several little Vikings. I know somebody posted a picture in the group of, I think there's a 4 or 5 pack of Vikings that Heresy Miniatures has. And the best thing about Heresy Miniatures, besides the awesome sculpts, is the fact that
Independent sculptor.
Well, yeah, he's an independent sculptor, but that's my favorite part is he sends you some candy in your box every time. So it's the small things. It's the customer service that makes stuff great. So that's Ragnarok. What did you think about it? Give us your overall end impression, Raul.
Great game. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I'm definitely going to play it again. And now I have to buy a bunch of Viking miniatures. Thank you very much. Probably don't know this, but Max shows me new games, figures out which ones I like, and next thing I know, part of my paycheck's just going to the next one.
Yeah, my job in life is to have the people in our game group buy more and more miniatures. So I'm in the same boat. I loved Ragnarok. It's a great game. The mechanics were easy. There wasn't a lot of book flipping once we got the success chart down. It's a fun game. It's a fast game, unless, of course, everybody in the group is looking up miniatures online while we're playing it like we were. But it's fun, it's fast, it's miniature neutral, which means you bring to the table what you want, and there's almost no end of what you can do because the realms are fractured in the storyline. So you can do whatever you want, essentially, for your warband. And I just think that that is awesome. And that right there, stuff like that is exactly why Coastal Con, our convention that we're planning, is all about the independent game developers. Because really, when you're creating a game and it's a 1,000,000% passion, it's going to be a good game.
Oh, definitely. Like Matt keeps mentioning, you know, GW stuff. Don't get me wrong. You've got Warhammer and other games that are great, but you would not have heard about games like Ragnarok and such normally. It's the little guys which have a great game. You don't always know or think about it, but it's there, and sometimes you have someone else, you know, give you, hey, heads up, take a look at this thing.
Yeah, so there you go. You got your heads up. If you haven't checked out Ragnarok, go check out Ragnarok. Buy the book. It's published by Osprey, so if you want to get it through Osprey, you can. It's on Amazon as well. You can download just a PDF. You don't have to get the hardcover. If you're a digital guy, you can do that so that you have that. But I encourage you, get the book, check it out. Check out the Facebook group, which is Ragnarok Worldwide. Lots of fun stuff going on there. And until next time, I'm not even sure what we're doing on the next one, but we're
a surprise for everyone.
Right, it'd be a surprise for us too. But we're slowly working our way towards battle reports. So be on the lookout for those. Subscribe, and you will see them when they come out. And until next time, we are Beaufort Tabletop Gaming.
Have a good night, and hopefully see you at Coastal Con.